What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome to the Fins Up Network. Ben Morgan here, and we are just one day removed from that season ending to the Buffalo Bills. But while it was still fresh on my mind, I sort of wanted to put together an offseason wish list. Now, obviously, we're going to be discussing different options for the future of the team throughout the offseason, going to have numerous videos. So if you haven't gotten subscribed yet, make sure you are subscribing while you're going to be here all offseason. But yeah, I wanted to put an off-season wish list together right here. So this is going to be my initial wish list following the wild card loss to the Buffalo Bills. But before I get into it today, I want to hear from you. If you agree with my list, go ahead, give this a thumbs up, like this. Let's hear about it. But if you have anything else that you think I should be adding to my wish list, go ahead and drop those in the comments. I'd like to hear what you've got as well. But without further ado, let's kick off the list. Wow, this one's kind of obvious, right? Likely didn't even need to be said, right? But we won one game that wasn't started by Tua Tagovailoa. So now, if the Adam Schefter report that came out Sunday morning of the Dolphins-Bills games, if that is true, and if the Dolphins are planning on bringing back Tua, if they're planning on him being the starter for the 2023 season, yes, a competent backup is important as well. Likely should be on my wish list. Obviously, we need that. But honestly, a healthy Tua is even more important. And like I said, we could spend all day on this topic, so I'm just going to give a quick summary. But first and foremost, getting him right mentally is going to be the first step. So obviously that's going to be on his mind. The concussions are on his mind. His family's on his mind. His playing future is on his mind. Getting him right mentally is going to be huge. That's a big hurdle that cannot be understated at this point in time. Then the team's got to look into some equipment. And now the safest helmet possible, maybe. If he wasn't using that beforehand, I'm not quite sure what the deal was, but definitely look into something like that. And I've also seen some people talking about getting him some coaching on how to properly fall. And you hear that sentence and it sounds silly, but you can't argue that Tua is absolutely brutal at getting tackled. It's almost like he contorts his body in a way that makes it more unsafe than anything. So like I said, I could spend all day talking about quarterback, talking about Tua, talking about the future at the position. But it is a long offseason, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Let's go on to the next wish list item. Veteran cornerback. Let me get that straight here. Stuck on the quarterback there. All right, looking ahead to next year, if you assume that Byron Jones is no longer here, assume that he's going to end up getting released. Your core guys at the position are essentially Xavier Howard, an undrafted free agent, Kader Kohou. Nick Needham is a free agent. Trill will be coming back from injury, so he'll be back, welcome addition, but still coming back from injury. So depending on what happens with Nick Needham, because keep in mind, he's also coming back from injury, you've got options with Kader Kohou, either in the slot or the boundary. He played some of both with decent success at both this offseason, so that's a nice staple to have, good guy to have with good experience. Now, however, we're not currently talking about enough quality guys right here in this breakdown. Who have I said else out there that you even trust at this point in time? And we saw when our cornerback depth was tested this last year, it didn't go well. You could say that was ultimately the demise of the defense, potentially the ultimate demise of this team. So while I'm all about the Miami Dolphins drafting a cornerback, getting some young blood in the room, we know how cornerbacks age. You need young guys. You absolutely need young guys. I'm not opposed to that. But we know what our window to compete is, and our window to compete is likely right now, which is cool. That's a good spot to be as a fan. It's a good spot to be in. So that's why I added the caveat of veteran right there, because we need a guy or guys that are ready to contribute from the start as soon as they get there. So like I said about the quarterback position, we got a long offseason ahead. We'll talk about free agent options, some NFL draft options, but for the time being, veteran cornerback, very, very high on my list. Next item, growth from Channing Tindall. All right. What did we see from Channing Tindall his rookie year? Anyone? Honestly, we saw him on some kickoffs, depending on how the camera was aligned, because if it was straight behind the kicking unit, he was off to the left, usually of Jason Sanders. That's where we saw him the most. But then in all honesty, we saw him in a little bit of a spy package early in that game against the Bears and Justin Fields. And after that, what? It was hardly nothing. So now I don't want to go into panic mode when it comes to Channing Tindall, despite seeing even less than him than I originally thought was possible. I thought we'd see him more active in that spiral. I thought we'd see him more active on third downs. I thought we'd see him a little bit as a rotational piece in year one. So yeah, we saw him much, much less than I ever anticipated was even possible. But we truly need just some clarity as to what he can provide for this team so that we know how to address the linebacker position moving forward this offseason. Because remember last offseason, we essentially re-signed all of our linebacker guys to one-year deals. And it was Elandon Roberts, Sam Eguavoen, Duke Riley. So there's a good damn chance that this positional group looks much, much different in 2023 if we don't use that strategic route again, which I'm guessing that we probably won't. So it would be nice. I don't think I'm asking for too much here. For our third rounder, which ended up being our first draft pick in last year's draft pick, to be a part of that unit moving forward. So after this red shirt season, I want to see what he has. I want to see growth from Channing Tindall. Let's see what we have in the linebacker position so we know how we got to address it moving forward. Long wish list, Dolphins fans. Offensive line continuity. Yep. Offensive line, once again, remains a priority on my wish list for what, the 100th, 150th season? Man, it is on this. It's on every NFL team's wish list for the offseason, but it seems to always be a glaring need on ours. Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt. Those are your main cogs, correct? You're set there. But Austin Jackson spent a big portion of the season injured. When he was playing, was he anything special? Was it anything you want to try to build on? He's young. Yeah, he's got that. But he wasn't knocking anyone's socks off. Liam Eichenberg, he started. He also got hurt. He's got some position versatility. But do you feel comfortable with him starting at left guard or right tackle anywhere on the offensive line, given Tua's concussion issues like we talked about? Do you feel comfortable with him being one of those starting five guys? So now Brandon Shell showed flashes. Robert Jones showed flashes. I liked what we saw there. But regardless, another veteran piece or two is likely needed. And once again, I'm definitely not opposed to drafting offensive linemen. Can't have enough at the position. Can't have enough young guys that you can develop at the position. But we need guys that can compete today. Look at the offensive guys on the offensive line that we signed last year. Teron Armstead, Connor Williams. Instant producers, instantly two of our best players on the line. We simply need another instant contributor or two, similar to what we had last year from those guys to keep some continuity on that offensive line. Let's go on to the next one. Re-signing Christian Wilkins. So Wilkins is currently slated to play the 2023 season on his fifth-year option of his rookie deal. And while that's great and all, he'll be here. If he puts up another monster season like he did this year, if he does that again next year, he is going to be even more expensive. He's already going to be expensive for sure. You know you're going to have to pay this guy, but he'll be even more expensive if he puts another season like that on the resume. Plus, if you wait till next offseason to get the job done, well, now you're in a bidding war. Now you got to compete with other teams that are throwing him these huge deals as well. The dude's a team leader. He's every single time something good happens, who ends up on the camera? Who ends up on the screen? It's Christian Wilkins. Man, he's durable as hell. And oh yeah, I mean, he's just a straight up menace when he's on the field. All of his tackles, all of his blowing up play behind the line of scrimmage, everything he sets up for the other edge rushers as well. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet because I personally feel like this should just be a slam dunk this offseason. All right, last one here. Let's look at running back. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Myles Gaskin, Savon Ahmed, all free agents. So do you know what that means? That means every single running back that received a carry for us this season isn't guaranteed to be back. So now you look at those guys, I think maybe there's a good chance we re-sign one or two of those guys. Obviously, that's depending on the market for those guys in this free agency. But this is a position that's strong this offseason in both free agency and the NFL draft. So we've been sort of pushing the idea of adding to the running back room, drafting running backs. We've been pushing that to the side the last few years. But this year, I'd like to get like a guy, like have not necessarily an outright bell cow running back, but a guy that you can count on more often than not. And like I've said numerous times, I'm going to do numerous videos this offseason about free agency, the NFL draft running back options this offseason. So we'll skip ahead here to the tight end issue. Mike Gesicki isn't going to get re-signed at this price tag. He had limited targets when he was out on the field. The blocking remained an issue. He never quite did take that next step. Honestly, it's just not going to be in the stars. We all like Mike Gesicki. He was a guy that we drafted. You want to keep your guys, especially when they're that good. It's just not meant to be this time around. I don't think it's meant to be this time around. So likely at him probably commanding $14 million plus per year, it's not likely going to be in the stars to bring him back. So now you're looking at what? Durham Smythe, Hunter Long, Ethan Carter. Feeling good about that? So now I'm actually a bit at a crossroads with this one, since I honestly don't know how much Mike McDaniel, how much does he prioritize giving targets to a tight end in this offense? Is it just because of the situation we were in? Is it because we didn't have the do-it-all guy? Where does his priorities fall? So do we really need a high-priced do-it-all guy at the position? That's the question that we've yet to be seen. But unfortunately, we didn't get the second-year growth we were hoping for from a guy from Hunter Long. So there may honestly be like no other choice but to test the market, whether that's the draft, whether that's free agency. We're likely going to have to add a body or two to that position. All right, so that's me. That's what I've got. But like I said, let me hear yours as well. If you like mine, go ahead and give this the thumbs up. If you've got anything you'd like to add, drop those in the comments. And yes, stay tuned. As you can tell from how many times I said it during the video, I have got a lot to get to this offseason. So get subscribed if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications. We'll be talking Dolphins all offseason. So that is my time for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, fins up.